You step outside. The air is still, and somewhere, tucked in the branches of a tree you pass every day, a small black eye follows your movement. You don't notice it, but they notice you, in ways you might have never considered. Birds watch us more closely than we realize. Their survival depends on reading the world around them, and we are part of that world. What they see in us, in those fleeting everyday moments, is something we rarely stop to think about. Welcome to Bird's Mind Explained. Here we explore the quiet, often hidden connections between humans and the birds that share our skies, our gardens, our lives. Today we're going to uncover what birds notice about you that you never realize, and what that might mean. Think about the last time you stood by a window and watched a bird on a branch. It probably froze the moment your eyes landed on it, but the second you looked away, at your phone or your cup of tea, it relaxed. It went back to preening or scanning the ground. That small shift wasn't random. The bird was reading your gaze. To a small, wild creature, direct eye contact is one of the oldest signals of a predator's focus. When your eyes drift away, you are no longer a threat. In that tiny moment, without words, you communicated safety, and the bird trusted it. This is the first thing birds notice about you, where your eyes land. They track the direction of your attention with remarkable precision. A robin on the lawn tilts its head not just to listen for worms, but to see if your face is turned its way. A crow overhead notices whether you're looking up or down. Your glance, so casual to you, is a major decision point for them. When you choose to look away, you are silently giving permission, and the bird, in its own way, might even begin to trust the pattern of your inattention. The second thing they notice is something even more subtle, the rhythm of your breathing. You might think your breath is invisible, but to a bird sitting a few feet away, it shapes the air. A fast, shallow breath often travels with tension in the shoulders and quick head movements, signals that alarm many species. A slow, deep breath softens your entire silhouette. Birds sense changes in body rhythm through sound and slight motion. A sparrow perched on a fence can hear the whisper of air leaving your lungs when you sigh. It may not understand sadness, but it recognizes the absence of threat. Some of the most intimate encounters with wild birds happen when you are not trying. You are just sitting, breathing slowly, lost in thought, and a small bird, drawn by your stillness, hops closer. It notices the quiet rhythm of your presence, and it stays. The third thing birds notice is the way you move through space. Every person has a unique walking signature, a pace, a cadence, a way of swinging the arms or pausing at curbs. Birds who live near footpaths learn these signatures. The person who jogs with heavy steps at 6 in the morning becomes a familiar vibration through the ground, something the robins have already mapped. The elderly neighbor who walks slowly, stopping to admire flowers, becomes a gentle, predictable shape. Birds anticipate you. A jackdaw watching from a rooftop may recognize your hat or your coat, but even before that, it reads your movement style. When you walk the same route at the same time, you become part of their mental landscape. You are a moment in their day that they have already accounted for. There is something quietly beautiful about being expected, about being a gentle rhythm in a wild creature's life.
The fourth thing birds notice is the tone of your voice. Not the words, but the shape of the sound. A sharp call, a car door slam, a loud laugh, all carry suddenness that can scatter a flock. But a low, steady murmur becomes part of the background they can relax into. When you talk softly to a plant you're watering, or hum while hanging laundry, birds nearby take note. Over time, they associate that soft melody with safety. Some birds, like starlings and corvids, can even mimic the cadence of a human voice they've heard often, storing it in their memory. But the real magic isn't in mimicry, it's in the quiet bond that forms when your voice becomes a sound they do not fear. In their world, a gentle voice is a form of shelter. They hear you before they see you, and if the tone is calm, they choose to remain. The fifth thing they notice is your small rituals. You might not even think about them. Filling the birth bath every morning, scattering a handful of seeds after breakfast, opening the curtains at the same hour. These actions, unnoticed by most humans, create a predictable map that birds read with astonishing accuracy. A blue tit watching from the hedge learns that the water appears when you carry the green jug. A pigeon on the balcony knows that the crumbs arrive shortly after the sound of your kettle. They become students of your routine, and in that learning, a quiet relationship forms. You might notice that a particular blackbird appears exactly when you step into the garden. It isn't chance, it has connected the dots. You have become a seasonal constant, a reliable rhythm in its world. And the bird, by showing up, is acknowledging that rhythm. It is a silent conversation of presence and expectation. The seventh thing birds notice goes deeper than routine. They notice the emotional weight you carry. This might sound poetic, but there is science behind it. When you are tense, your body language changes in ways that are highly visible to animals sensitive to movement. Your shoulders tighten, your steps become heavier, and your energy reads as alert, unpredictable. When you are calm or quietly sad, your body softens, your pace slows, and you take up less space. To a bird, a still, soft human is less of a threat, maybe even a curiosity. Many birdwatchers have experienced this. On days filled with personal sorrow, when you sit motionless on a bench and just breathe, wild birds sometimes come closer than ever before. It isn't that they understand grief, it's that your stillness, your quiet surrender, opens a door. They notice you are not hunting, not demanding, not projecting energy outward. And in that vacuum, trust begins to creep in. They feel safe enough to simply be near you. That feeling, when a wild creature chooses to share a moment with you in your sadness, is a quiet gift. It can feel like being seen without being judged. The seventh thing birds notice is the silence you offer. In a world full of noise, real stillness is rare. When you sit without a phone, without moving, without speaking, you become something else to a bird. You become part of the landscape. Birds communicate with silence as much as they do with song. A sudden hush among tits in a tree often means a hawk is near. Long stretches of quiet signal safety. So when you offer a genuine, patient silence, you are speaking a language they understand. You are saying, I am not a predator, I am not a threat, I am just here. In that silence, birds reveal themselves. A wren might emerge from the undergrowth. A flock of goldfinches might land closer than usual. They notice that you have become a calm, empty space in their environment, and they fill it with their natural lives. It is perhaps the deepest form of connection, being allowed into their world by becoming nothing more than a quiet witness.
All of these small pieces, the glances, the breaths, the routines, the silences, add up to something bigger than we usually imagine. What birds notice about you isn't your job or your worries or your hurried thoughts. It's your breath, your rhythm, your steady presence. In their eyes, you are not a story, you are a pattern, you are a signal. And when that signal becomes peaceful, consistent, and undemanding, they remember it. There's a particular kind of trust that forms between a wild creature and a person who doesn't want anything in return. It isn't friendship in the human sense, but it is something close, a recognition that you are safe to be around. For a bird whose entire existence depends on reading danger, this recognition is profound. It means you are a place of rest in a landscape of alertness. You are a moment where the constant scanning can pause. The fact that a small, bright-eyed being, completely free, can choose to stay near you says something about who you are, or at least about the presence you bring into the world. It suggests that even when you feel invisible, you are being seen. And what you offer, simply by being calm, simply by showing up quietly day after day, matters more than you know. So, the next time you step outside and you notice a bird watching you from a branch, maybe pause. Don't look away too quickly. Let your breathing slow. Let your shoulders drop. Because it isn't just looking at you, it is reading you. It is sorting through the story you're telling without words, through your movements, your sounds, your stillness. And the way you exist in that moment, the softness or the hurry you bring, writes your place in their world. That little bird might decide to stay, or it might decide to trust you a little more tomorrow. Either way, something real has passed between you, something unspoken, something that most of us rush past without ever noticing. Maybe it wasn't random that it chose that branch right as you walked by. Maybe it has been watching you for longer than you think. Maybe in the quiet dance of everyday moments, there is far more happening than we ever realized. Have you ever felt that a bird was seeing something in you that others didn't? A stillness, a kindness, a grief you couldn't name? I would love to hear your experiences in the comments. And if you'd like to explore more of these hidden connections, consider subscribing to Bird's Mind Explained. Thank you for being here, and thank you, quietly, for being someone worth noticing.